Well, greetings, Gran Turismo enjoyers, and this time it's a 2-for-1 deal. Because I'm going to be doing 2 non-engine swapped builds. Yep, that's right, and would you know it, they're both super rare 90s tuned cars. The first one in question is the Koenig-Seg C62. Yeah, just wanted to point that out just to avoid confusion, okay? It's Koenig, not Koenig-Seg. 2 different car companies. One is a German tuner and the other is a Swedish supercar company or hypercar company. And we're going to use the Porsche 962 as the basis, because what else would it be based on? Yeah, in stock form it has 690 horsepower. But we're going to make it into a road car. Yeah, we're going to make it into some road legal car, and we're going to go over to the tuning shop. Now, you might be wondering, how are we going to make it into a road car? Well, first we're going to get sports hard tires for it. Then we're going to add some ballast. No power restrictor since it's supposed to be... Well, it's supposed to have over 800 horsepower. It's supposed to be powerful. Yeah, medium RPM turbocharger. Actually, we'll add the power restrictor since that's the only option that we can get. Yeah, so just in case if you can't get any upgrades that allow you to max out your power to what you want it to, well, you could use the power restrictor for that. Yeah, nothing else. So yeah, easiest build in the video series. But what about the XJ220C, you might ask? Well, this one's a bit different because we are going to be basing it on the ultra rare Jaguar XJ220C, and the only car we could use for that is what else? The XJ220. And we got a bunch of them to use. Yeah, we'll use this one. I mean, not XJ220C, XJ220S, sorry about that. And for this one, you don't need an engine swap, because the car itself uses the twin-turbocharged V6. Right. Just checking in on the Forza page. Anyways, it's got a 680 horsepower twin-turbocharged V6, so no engine swap. And you have to apply weight reduction to it as well, since it is supposed to be lighter than the average XJ220. Yeah, so we're gonna lighten it until we can get it to that accurate number that we want. So according to various sources, it weighs less than 1,100 kilos, so we're definitely going to get it down to the accurate weight that we need. Yeah, apply stage 2. Yeah, if you want a highly accurate XJ220S build, you would want to get weight reduction. Yeah, 1,065 kilograms. It's close, but not the exact weight. I'm not planning on having power restrictor, by the way. So, because it is turbo tuned, you can actually get turbo upgrades for it. So we're going to get that and bump it up to 614 horsepower, but not close to where we want it to be. We want it to be 680 horsepower. Yeah. And we're going to look up which transmission the Jaguar XJ220S used. Yeah, it uses a manual transmission, so dog box. We're going to use a dog box. Alright, let's see. Racing crankshaft. Or fully customizable computer, because it's closer to that power figure that we want. And there we go. Oh, and add in... Yeah, it already comes with sports hard tires, so we're good to go. Yeah, easy peasy. Lemon squeezy or Bobbie Speedy. Yeah, easy peasy Bobbie Speedy, or however you want to say it. Yeah, and the discs are mainly cosmetic. So yeah, there's not much else upgrades you need to do to make it a perfect recreation of the XJ220S. And yes, you can get aero parts for it that removes the headlights, meaning that you would have a more accurate, faithful recreation of the XJ220S. And you can even get an XJ220S wing. That's cool. And we would definitely need BBS rims. I think the XJ220S uses standard width rims. But anyways, let's see both our masterpieces in action. Well, here's one of them. And in case you're wondering about that license plate on the front, well, according to my headcanon, this yellow Koenig C62 is actually a car that Bobbie Fletcher herself owns and registered in North Carolina. Yeah, North Carolina is the state that she lives in, as she lives in the fictional city of Red Rock Valley, North Carolina, or fictional town. Well, it's more of a town than a city. So, when she imported this car from Germany, she registered it in the state of North Carolina, and had it displayed in her mansion. So this car actually has some story relevance in my headcanon. And keep in mind, the Koenig C62 only has 3 cars made. There's only 3 of them made. And this is the yellow one that was seen sometimes. So she owns that same exact yellow C62 according to my headcanon. So yeah, it's a road-going Porsche 962. But it's not the only one. There's also the Schuppen 962 and more famously the Tower 962 Le Mans, which was made to get around the loophole of not allowing Group C cars. They had to make it into a GT1 race car, and this create a whole can of worms if you haven't known already. So yeah, it's the Koenig C62. I also have the Jaguar XJ220S ready. Let's do escapes for that. So, the storyline of this car is that this XJ220S was bought and registered by Katherine Mulligan. Yes, that Katherine Mulligan in the Loud House. The news reporter in Royal Woods, yeah. She had enough money to buy herself one of these rare cars, and she has it displayed in her garage that is located in her backyard. Yeah, her garage that she built herself and has a bunch of rare and expensive cars in it. So if you're wondering why she has a normal looking house, well, she spends most of her money on rare gems and doesn't mind living in an ordinary house, as at the end of the day, that's how most people with fancy cars live. They have a seemingly ordinary or crap house, but they've got some nice cars. So yeah, she wanted to save money on not getting a mansion, and instead having her garage that she built, and she sometimes invites guests to tour around. So yeah, 2 cars in my Headcanon. But first, let's test out the Porsche 962. Koenig C62. Let's see which one is the faster one, as we give both cars to our test driver. But Bobbie Fletcher pretty much knows that car in the back of her hand, according to my Headcanon. So, let's go! But, before we get to the testing, I'd like to show you the setups that I used for each car, starting with the Koenig C62. I made the car intentionally understeer so that it can be in line with the hypercars of the 90s, since it is a road-going version of the Porsche 962 after all. Here's the setup if you want to pause and copy it yourself. Could use some work, but I made it fit for the Koenig C62 itself, and here are the parts I used. Firstly, I used medium RPM turbocharger, since it's the only turbo option that you get for this car. And then I used power restrictor and ballast to bring it down to the numbers needed for the Koenig C62, and fully customizable manual transmission. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, you can easily replicate this build yourself if you get the chance to get one of those Porsche 962s. But anyways, on to the Jaguar XJ220S. For this one, I increased the downforce levels to the maximum possible settings, since it's supposed to handle better than the standard XJ220, and I did some suspension work. Pause the video if you want to copy the settings yourself. And here are the parts you need for this build. All 3 stages of weight reduction, racing air filter, racing muffler, racing brakes. It doesn't matter if you get slotted or drilled, it's just aesthetics. Racing brake pads, high RPM turbocharger, racing clutch and flywheel, and a fully customizable manual transmission, and fully customized suspension and fully customizable differential. So yeah, those are the parts that you need for the XJ220S. It's more involved than the Koenig C62 because you have to add in a body kit to make it look accurate, and you also have to get it to the required numbers for the real Jaguar XJ220S itself. But anyways, let's test both of these cars. But first, we're going to rename the setting for the XJ220S to default. So let's go! Some say that it was a pain for her to get this car registered in the state of North Carolina, and that she uses this car while she occasionally uses this car to train for endurance racing. But all we know is, she's called Bobbie Fletcher. And here we go. Yeah, this is a car that she actually owns herself, according to my headcanon. And keep in mind, while she doesn't use this car that much, she still sometimes uses it to train for endurance racing, but she doesn't like to abuse it, as it is a really rare hypercar. Mind you that there's only 3 of them that ever exist in the real world. Here she goes into the first corner, known as the Headcanon. Sorry if I butchered the pronunciation of it. It is a really tough corner. And here she goes into the Mercedes Arena. Yes, I printed out a paper of the corner names. And up next is the Valvoline curve and the Ford curve, which she'll take with ease. Yeah. Excellent job on the Ford curve, by the way. And here she goes into the Dunlop car. Sorry if I butcher the pronunciation. German words. We'll call it the Dunlop corner. Into the Audi S, aka the Schumacher S. Yeah, it's called the Schumacher S in honor of Michael Schumacher. Into the Michelin curve. And, of course, the Bit curve. And next up is the ITT Bogen. Yeah, it's German words. And the final corner, well, the penultimate corner, the NGK chicane, I meant to say. Yeah, it takes the NGK chicane with ease. And into the final corner, known as the Coca-Cola curve. Yeah, there's a bit of oversteer here, but it's manageable. And across the line! Here we go. It's the Jaguar XJ220S's turn to shine. And keep in mind, Bobbie Fletcher has never actually driven this car before until now, at least according to my headcanon, and while she did tour around Katherine Mulligan's backyard garage, she's never driven it until now. And according to the storylines in this video, I had to basically talk Katherine Mulligan into testing this car. It's always fun to come up with good storylines. Here we go into the Headcanon, and this is a corner that's really difficult. If you brake too late, you will make a severe mistake and it'll impact your lap. Yeah, going into the Mercedes Arena. Handles that corner with ease. And yes, I made this light blue Jaguar XJ220S look faithful to its rear-wheel counterpart, except for the window decal that I can't add. Yeah, up next is the Valvoline curve and the Ford curve. Doesn't take it as well as the Koenig-Specials C62, but still pretty good. Yeah, she worked hard on getting these lap times, by the way. Well, according to the storyline, but we all know that in reality I actually do my best to do these hot laps because I use a PS5 controller instead of a wheel. So it's kind of hard to take a line with a PS5 controller. Here we go. Up next is the Michelin Curve and the Bit Curve. They also did a good job on the Schumacher S's, by the way. The ITT Bogan is up next, and she tries to take the corner flat out, and yeah, there's a bit of wiggle. And this is the wheel hop corner known as the NGK chicane. And the final corner known as the Coca-Cola curve. Let's see if she can take that pretty well and manages to do a good job at it. And across the line! Let's see where that puts both ultra-rare unicorns on the leaderboard. Alrighty, so the Koenig C62 has a time of 2:07.303, which is impressive considering that it uses sports hard tires. And it actually has a faster lap time than the Afi-powered Datsun, despite the fact that the Afi-powered Datsun used racing softs. Racing softs usually have better grip than sports tires. But again, the Porsche 962 is a Group 1 racing car. But still, nowhere near as fast as the Indy Civic and the Pikes Peak Cruiser, which still holds the record for the fastest lap. That will be beaten soon in the next video, hopefully. And the Jaguar XJ220S has a time of 2:13.280. Most of my top speed builds have sports hard tires in order for them to intentionally handle poorly. Yeah, they're supposed to be fast, but not so good in the corners. I use softer compounds for other builds. So yeah, the Koenig C62 is the fastest road car build that I've made. And both cars are the first non-engine swapped builds that I've showcased in this channel so far. So yeah, both cars are really fast, and the XJ220S, even though it has less horsepower than the Koenig 190TT and the Tommy Kaira M70X, it's still faster than them as it handles much better. But anyways, let's move on to more testing. I know what you're thinking. Yes, the Koenig C62 would have been faster with racing tires, but here's the thing. I wanted to use sports hards for the build itself because I wanted to fit in line with my other road car builds. You see, I use sports hard tires for a lot of my road car builds, especially my top speed builds, since they're not meant to handle well. They're meant to be fast in a straight line, although I use sports softs for the one Clubman Cup Plus race at Special Stage Route X. But anyways, let's see how fast the Koenig C62 is compared to my other builds. I'm going to do custom race. We're going to do it on the full course. Yeah, have some grid fillers to go alongside it. Yeah, these are two of my grinding cars. And I have a lot of Hondas. And here's the Rotocino. Yeah, I have another Bobbie Fletcher themed car in the works for a special video. Here we go. Forgot to do standing start. Let's do grid start. Yeah, this is an experiment. Yeah, keep in mind, I'm doing this with a controller. Yeah, I did a lot of my lap times with a controller, not a racing wheel. Yeah, I went a little too wide there. So yeah, it's beaten every single one of my builds except for the Pikes Peak Cruiser and the Indy Civic. Yeah, I didn't get a clean race bonus because the Koenig-Specials 190 TT tried to block me. So yeah, it is the third fastest of all of my builds. This is kind of something similar to Fossil Fuel. He usually tests his engine swap builds to see which one is the fastest and which cars it can pass. But anyways, let's do a top speed run for both cars at Special Stage Route X. Whoops. Whoops. Itchy trigger figures, sorry. First, we're gonna do it with the Jaguar XJ220C. I mean, Jaguar XJ220S. There I go again. Yeah, I actually adjusted the gearbox so it could reach its top speed. Because the gearing set that I used for it wasn't actually that good for a top speed run. And both of these cars are supposed to be top speed builds. Yeah, top speed 217 miles per hour for the XJ220S. Yeah, it's actually faster than the stock XJ220. In real life, this car could reach top speeds of over 220 miles per hour. But because of the drag, I could only get it up to 219. Yeah, it had higher downforce because this car has, well, it's supposed to have a higher downforce setup in real life. Yeah, it is the ultimate Jaguar XJ220. $224 miles per hour. Is the top speed. What about the Koenig C62? Well, let's find out. Here we go. Man, I miss machine tests. Yeah, both of these cars are not engine swapped. Yeah, these two are the first non-engine swapped builds, as they're meant to be faithful to their own real-life counterparts. But don't worry, the next build that I will make will be another engine swap. Did you see that? It almost lifted off the ground. Yeah, on this section, top speed is 247 miles per hour. In real life, it's been known to do a top speed of over 230 miles per hour. Yeah, it is absolutely crazy that someone would take a race car and make it into a road car. But a few companies did it. Yeah, Koenig did it. There was also the Chopin 962C and, more famously, the TWR 962 Le Mans. And it was built to curb a loophole around the GT1 regulations. Yeah, because a lot of teams still had the Porsche 962 still lying around and trying to figure out what to do with them. Yeah, top speed for the Koenig C62 is 252 miles per hour. So it's meant to be fast in a straight line. Yeah, it's pretty good in corners, but it's a top speed build. The next build will be a time attack build. A car that is meant to be fast around corners, not straightaways. So yeah, both of these cars are super rare and holy grails in the automotive world. And both of these cars happen to be owned by celebrities in the world of the Loud House. Ironic, isn't it? Yeah, Bobbie Fletcher's C62 happened to be the faster of the two ultra-rare unicorns that I've built. But anyways, this is the Bandito signing off. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell just in case you haven't already done so. Catch you guys next time, and peace out.